You're now listening to Last Wave Radio.
What do you want for lunch? Lunch. For lunch. Lunch. For lunch. Lunch.
Egg.
What do you want for dinner?
Cereal.
And what do you want for dessert?
Peanut butter.
Take off your mask.
And a 1 and a 2.
Lunch.
Cereal.
And what do you want for dessert?
Peanut butter.
And a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4.
What do you want for breakfast?
Salted.
What do you want for lunch?
Cereal.
What do you want for dinner?
Fish.
And what do you want for dessert?
Watermelon.
It's all a breath away. You know, I think the more you can deconstruct what you've been taught and be your own laboratory and question any authority, eventually you get to truth.
Could you surprise me? Oh, could
spend a lifetime trying to make their identity better. So we're not really these little personalities and identities and sets of problems and bodies. But even in my own practice, I'm a breath away from letting it go. Just being.
Could you surprise me? Oh, could you let it be? Could you surprise me? Oh, could you let it be?
Where your life is your meditation.
An identity, like you said, that help us just survive the pain of it, the situation. And when we start wearing those masks, as we get older, they kind of merge with our face, and they're pretty hard to take off. But youth have this amazing ability to, when the iron's hot, they strike, but they need to have some guidance and some support.
It is a rewiring. Your whole nervous system starts
and they need that context as well too.
And peace and connection.
Because there's some youth that have that ability to hold space for each other in that way, but to have a community in a group. Because what's nice about the model that we're working with is that it's mentorship, meaning that I may be hosting the circle, but there's multiple people that are involved, multiple mentors of different ages that are being able to be present and to listen and to make sure that we have a wide range of perspectives and ears listening to the conversation.
Connecting.
Yeah, and this example you gave, right, of being humiliated in front of their peers, and how that humiliation, it's easier as for a lot of us as human beings to start telling us stories, even to have thoughts of self-hatred or self-loathing and say, like, I'm no good at school, this is not for me, like what I really am is my best bet is to be out there running the streets, whatever it is. Those self-images are really self-destructive images that we can hold about ourselves as humans, but it feels less vulnerable than admitting to the humiliation in that moment that we feel.
Its toes touched
and so that's where the awareness brings in
another human figure facing it.
The capacity to just let it go before it grows into something.
Cut into the earth and filled with
before it becomes something that
the top
really has a toxic influence on our life. The other aspect is that there also needs to be a space for the other side of the ledger, which is the amazing, miraculous things that we do and youth do that tend not to get acknowledged because of social hierarchies and structures. And often the most brilliant youth and the ones that are like really onto something, and they're finding a hobby, or they're cultivating a way of looking at the world that could turn into their livelihood, that could turn into like a great source of empowerment for them. Like maybe they're learning
So we tell ourselves stories about Canada, and we weave an understanding of this land and our identities within it, and where we're placed. And, you know, Dan used this word reckoning, you know, is every child matters. Like, what led to that statement, however incomplete it is, let's say, in the call, right? But a lot of people, that's what they see. They see a little blip of something on social media that kind of, it's like a meme, right? It's chock full of meaning, but they have to decode it. So what happened in Canada that led to this thing being important to reckon with right now? What happened in Canada?
Yeah, I'm interested about the messaging, the mainstream messaging and slogans like "Every Child Matters" and sort of like these little sort of like marketing. Maybe that's not the right word, but I mean the bottom line for me, and this maybe relates to that idea of reckoning, is what does it feel like? What does it feel like to lose your child? You know, and how do you get to that awareness? How do you get to that feeling? Is it through a message? I don't think so. But that feeling of you know, you lost your child, or you were forced to cut your hair. How do you feel that? How do you feel that? Like through whatever messaging, or what? For me, I feel that because I had a close mentor who survived residential school, and I was able to feel the extent of the injury through that experience. But a lot of Canadians don't have experiences like that. They see what's on, you know, TV, or they see these messages. I'm like, how do you feel the reality of this? Mm-hmm. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can speak from personal experience as an Indigenous person that I've gone through a lot in this past year and a half, apart from COVID, just really with a bit of an Indigenous awakening across Canada, even pre-Kamloops. And it's been a personal journey, growth. And I realized that the messaging from Canada to me as an Indigenous person was that I was less than. And I specifically remember being a young adult, a young woman, when I was about 18 or 19. I was at the University of Saskatchewan, and my mom is white, my dad is Indigenous, and so I can definitely pass as white if I wanted to. It's not, I mean, I'm definitely darker, but whatever. I can go both ways, I guess. All that to say, I'm not necessarily visibly Indigenous. So when I tell people that I am, they're often a little surprised or not, depending on the context. And I often found myself defending my ancestors, defending Indigenous people from these like ridiculous stereotypes and prejudices that people had. And this was 20 years ago. So, I mean, I'm hoping that a few things have changed. But it's also people who had had many experiences with other Indigenous people. But the messaging has always been that, we were less than. And I think this was before a time when we understood what generational trauma was, before there was an understanding of what actually went on at residential schools, the whole history behind residential schools, that kids were forcibly removed from their homes and taken by the church and the state to go to these schools and stay there until they were 16, 17, or 18 years old, or they died. And I can say from personal experience, my grandmother went to residential school, and I recently read the biography of my aunt, my grandma's sister, because my grandma has passed on. And, you know, her and her sister and her brother all went to residential school, and her sister Mary Fiddler, you know, she was in second grade, and she was beaten unconscious by a nun for some minor infraction and had to spend, you know, 3 weeks in the infirmary. Never got to see her siblings and all this, that, and the other thing. So you can see how impactful this would be on a child and then on a person who has their own children later on. And I think only now is Canada or people starting to realize the impact that generational trauma has on people and will continue to have on people. And before, where that was seen as kind of like a stain on you as a person that made you less than or was something to be ashamed of, I feel like that tied in myself anyway, and I feel like with a lot of younger Indigenous people, especially Indigenous women, that's starting to change. Mm-hmm. Where I can say personally that I've really have been working on shedding that feeling of shame and want to be empowered by my indigeneity. And that for myself is just a personal reclamation and reconciliation. Yeah. And I feel like that's a journey that a lot of Indigenous people are on, which maybe Canadians don't realize, that this is not just something for a typical Canadian to feel bad about. This is something deeply ingrained within the Indigenous identity that needs to shift.
All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah.
Truth teller, truth yeller.
All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing.
Eid Mubarak.
And that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah.
Full grown father of four, still in search of father figures. Hard to feel at home here in this body that my trauma lives in. My self-hatred still my opposition. I chop and parcel out the wisdom I've been given out atop the rhythm. I'm not a victim or a liar and I'm not afraid. Offer me a kingdom, if that's wrong I walk away. They say my talent versus fame isn't adding up. The folk that know me throwing shade and said I ain't wanted it bad enough. Seen so many change and get strange for the spotlight. If that's what you mean, brother, you couldn't be more right. I'd rather feel shame than an Adam's way to arrogance. Mention death's name, prepare for it, ain't fearing it. Atheists describe the God that they don't believe in. See, we ain't even at odds, cause I don't feel that neither. I know we come from a source that's much realer, a cause that all the sleepers keep concealing. The seekers overcome the amnesia, feel the heartbreak bleeding all through my songs. My atmosphere, brothers, brought me along. I soldier on for the love of love and for the hope of hope. I catch it from above and hold the moment close. Soak up the rawness, floating all through my songs. The El Tuam twins kept me strong. I soldier on for the love of love and for the hope of hope.
All praises due to Allah.
I got a knock upon my door, it was the FBI. Can't come inside without a warrant, but I talk here on the steps a while. They trying to question my traveling. What's the harassment? Power obsessed authoritarians detest what I'm channeling. He said his mission, keep the innocent from dying. Let me laugh a little bit to keep from crying. I sigh as if we don't know about the COINTELPRO and devilish drones that rain hell in the homes. Never an empire rose without blood on its hands and face. They hate the poets for exposing the channel, the rage. Sacred space, whether I'm in Iran or Lebanon, the south side of Chicago or Sudan. The power in the song is the proof, not the performer. Now my question for you is, where's the honor? And by the ring, a father in his home in pajamas on his birthday in front of all his daughters. Next time call the lawyer, I'm part of this resistance. Blistering through my song, the great Chuck D kept me strong. Sound the alarm for the love of love and for the hope of hope. This is what justice does, it puts you in their scope. My steadfastness, blasting this dope long. Cornell West never led me wrong. I soldier on for the love of love and for the hope of hope. For every one of us that hold the rope that won't be broke. No.
All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing.
Truth teller, truth yeller. I'm from a long line of writers and teachers, and spend all of my time with guides and seekers, and criminals and preachers, sifting through the secrets just to kick them through your speakers. These tears just flowing my whole life long. Look in the mirror, I still see my mom. I'm writing songs for the love of love and for the hope of hope. For every one of us that hold the rope that won't be broke. No.
All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing.
Truth teller, truth yeller.
All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praises due to Allah.
Greetings to all of you in the language of love, the universal language. Use your hearts for what your hearts are for. Fill them with light. Do not fill them with darkness. May this message give us eyes with which to see, ears with which to hear, and hearts with which to love each other and to love the world and to do good.
We're using our hearts for what hearts are for. They've been trying to shut us down our whole life. Thank God for healing, and you ain't gotta get us lit, we got our own life. Thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. Thank God for building. You ain't gotta get me lit, I got my own life. Lately feel like a stranger. Maybe I ain't from here. World's going crazy. How could that be unclear? Know that I'm a soldier. Your heart is my battleground, and so I've been in the holster. I had to come back around. See, I ain't trying to hide away. I just had to meditate. I ain't got a lot to say, but the ancestors may. I'm speaking to the whole globe. Numbers don't occur to me. You can listen solo, cause you're the whole world to me. Jumping in with both feet, nothing low key. You can find me where I'm supposed to be, where my folks be. If you listen very closely, you know who chose me. Nothing that I own owns me, and so I'm so free. I remember being hungry, needing groceries. Nighttime getting no sleep till my nose bleed. Got a message to the police. We're using our hearts for what hearts are for. They've been trying to shut us down our whole life. Thank God for healing, and you ain't gotta get us lit. We got our own life. Thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. Thank God for building. You ain't gotta get us lit. We got our own life. Thank God I'm living. Not for 1 second I believe what you're telling me. I know you invent the disease and sell the remedy. Universe is sending me centuries of memories, so the very breath that I breathe is all I ever need. I got that Muhammad Ali up in my pedigree. You bet I'll be speaking my piece up in my 70s. Ain't worried about them threatening me. I'm just being honest. We ain't buying fear just because that's all they got left. We just try and make love till we wake up. I believe whoever made us envision greatness, and you know they trying to paint us with the same brush. Wanna entertain us until we feel our grave up. Alright, okay, but when it's all said and it's all done, and I look back at the trophies I won, let me only count one. Using my heart for what hearts are for. They've been trying to shut us down our whole life. Thank God for healing. You ain't gotta get us lit. We got our own life. Thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. Thank God for building. You ain't gotta get us lit, we got our own life. Thank God I'm living. I know who I am and I know whose I am. On your wings I fly, in your shoes I stand. I'm animated by love, I don't move by chance. Any stage I touch, any place I stand, there y'all lands. Living in this world as it is, a cracked vessel I am. No more and no less than a man. Any of these possessions that I have are just in my hand. I balance them the best that I can. Not making no claims, but hearts for what hearts are for. They've been trying to shut us down our whole life. Thank God for healing, and you ain't gotta get us lit. We got our own life. Thank God for listening. Listen, you've been trying to build me up my whole life. Thank God for building. You ain't gotta get us lit. We got our own life. Thank God I'm living, just reflecting all the beauty in this whole life. All the beauty in this whole life. All the beauty in this whole life. All the beauty in this whole life.
All praise is due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praise is due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praise is due to Allah, and that's the blessing. All praise is due to Allah.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا يا رسول الله. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. It's the only way I see you right. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. God willing, I can love you till there's nothing but you. Disappear inside you every time I clutch you. Tears shed in your presence, render walls humble. To separate me from you until I become you. Let them fall to rubble, let the darkness crumble. Let your light penetrate me till my heart is trustful. I'm afflicted with my chest constricted, and your description is the best prescription. Crack the stone in my chest and let it beat again, till every artery becomes a pharmacy, and let it deliver your love to every part of me. To the splendor of your presence is all I see. My depth wish is to decorate my every inch with remembrance of your preciousness, till there's no longer evidence I ever existed. Cause until I knew your love, I never did. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. It's the only way I see you right. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. These two eyes inside of my head have never seen clearly. A whole team of geniuses couldn't seem to cure me. Most of the time I just resign them and close them completely, and relied on what's inside me to guide me sincerely. Let the heart navigate and pray that the path is straight. Led me directly to the threshold, standing at your gate. I breathed in a sweet breath that you had let go. Somewhere in the distance heard your echo. My soul began to tremble. You resemble every mercy I've ever known. Overwhelmed me so that I began to let them flow. The lenses started welcoming the guest of tears. Suddenly the world revealed itself crystal clear. Colors grew vibrant and the decoration vivid. In that very instant I knew everything was living. Then they released and made their way down my cheek. And here I am at the beginning, starting to see all the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. It's the only way I see you right. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. It's the only way I see you right. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. It's the only way I see you right. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. It's the only way I see you right. All the beauty in this whole life is reflecting your light. Cool tears obscure my sight. It's the only way I see you right.
Mustafa, Habibi, la la la,